I think Benton Harbor's always been kind of known as the town that, you know, has extreme poverty.
It's a community that's been through some tough times. It still has some tough times ahead of it.
And I'm not going to lie about the pain and the loss and how I grieve at sometimes how people are just fighting to eke things out here.
And you jump through the hoops, you work and you study, and you still can't advance in our society. And so you stop, you give up.
There is a difficult and painful history of what they call generational poverty. Not only is your family poor, but grandma's been poor and great-grandma's been poor. And so it's hard to see the way out.
There are a lot of good people in Benton Harbor that want themselves and their children to succeed, and they're struggling with finding ways for that to happen.
You just find all types of things like that. Difficult to deal with, but then, you know, our church has always found a way to rise up and help the people in their need.
I see.
We are in First Presbyterian Church of Benton Harbor, the sanctuary, and I'm the pastor. I'm the blessed person that gets to be the pastor of this place.
This church intentionally stayed in this community when times were tough. They decided that it was important to keep this church in this place, and they did.
I believe that God calls on us to reach out to people. I think our primary job is to reach out to people.
And so the church has had the leadership to look around and look outside the doors and see the community and see the need.
I feel like the greatest thing about First Pres is that there's such an intimate care for one another that, like, we learn to do the work of God by helping each other, which is exactly what God wants us to do.
We have a special relationship with the school across the street. Benton Harbor School District is in financial difficulty. One of the things they've cut is the library program.
Martha Momini just could not see that happen. And so she retired, and she knows the ins and outs of the school district from being a teacher there for years, and she created a library.
There's no money in education to pay for librarians anymore. So the only way that the children are going to get an opportunity to check out books is if we have volunteers. Okay, you're all set. Remember the rules.
They have organized the books. They work with the children when they come into the library.
Hold steady, Santa yelled as he unfolded his map. Then a giant...
These kids are really special, and they just light up when they come into the library, you know, and it's just neat to have conversations with them and about the books they're going to read, and you can tell that this is a special part of their day when they come in here.
Hi guys, may I play with you?
Some of them have books at home, many do not. So this is an opportunity to expose them to all types of literature. Education is key for them to do better than what their parents may have done, and to have a higher level of living and a higher level of education.
HOST is a program that involves one-on-one reading with children.
Okay, next sentence.
Mentors come once a week. Spend half an hour with the same child every week, all year long.
The typical assignment is you review word cards that they have in the envelope, which is words they stumbled over previously until they master them. And then there's some sort of an assignment to work on that day, and if there's time, read part of a book.
And 2 and 3 and 4.
You know, students want to know that education is important. By the adults being involved in the process, actively involved on a daily basis, the students get that message. It changes their behavior, it changes their demeanor. They understand why they're there.
It only takes one person showing an interest in a child to change that child's life.
Get out your reading book.
Most people expect the kids in Benton Harbor to all be hanging from the ceiling and swinging from the chandeliers. They don't expect them to be academic students.
You know, you walk down the hall in these classes, you see these dedicated teachers, and the students are, for the most part, I think, very well behaved. They're nicely dressed. They're eager to learn.
I have never been ashamed of our kids in Benton Harbor. They excel. When that expectation is laid down and it's expected, they do it.
I like how people are raising their hands.
On each Wednesday, one of our men picks up 4 ex-offenders to go to the Habitat build and work on the house.
All of them have been in prison one time or another. It's hard for them to find work. Our church has a little fun and we pay them a little bit each time they work.
They were given the opportunity to do work for a day, given $20 to do that. It means the world to be able to get $20 for doing work.
We were putting up the braces on the wall for the like the kitchen cabinets that's going in this house. It's like a new learning experience for me. Even now I'm learning at this point in time how to use some of the tools and stuff like that.
It's not just, here, you need to do this and we'll give you that. They're trying to build skills among the community to give people the ability to stand on their own.
They're working on trying to make a life for themselves.
Well, it makes me feel good when I go home. It uplifts me. It makes me feel like I'm doing something to help out the community.
A couple of the men haven't had the chance to work in years. This is also a chance to sort of build up those working kinds of skills, to feel good about using your hands and contributing, and then to get paid for it at the end of the day, while also helping build a house for somebody. So it's a win-win-win situation.
We operate this food pantry at our church, so a lot of people in the community have to come to receive bags of food because there's not enough money, you know, always to purchase the food that they need.
Pasta, noodles, meat. All I've got is corned beef and tuna.
I love me some corned beef. Corned beef and tuna.
Okay.
There are hungry people in our community. Sometimes the money that you get on a bridge card, which is our food stamps, does not feed a family for the month.
Because I've talked to a couple of people and they say, you know, like by Friday my food is gone.
When people are hungry, they will call or they need food, and then they will come and we'll give them bags. We could give anywhere from 5 bags a month to 50 bags a month, depending.
I always ask how many members of the family, and if they say 2, they get 1 bag. If they say 4, they get 2 bags. And just hope that they will, you know, be supplied for a few days anyway.
We'll see you. We'll see you, Tom.
The Thursday night supper, it's become really a community supper.
It's an amazing variety of people. We have people from the church, some who are older and get tired of eating by themselves, and so they come to have some fellowship while they eat. We have other people who have difficulty feeding themselves, and so they come because they're hungry.
And what this means to the people to walk in on a cold night and have a hot bowl of soup and have fellowship there with people that care about them.
Everybody likes to be listened to, and some people have no one to listen. So everybody's looking for a place to feel welcome and wanted and cared for, and I think we provide that environment here.
So around the tables on Thursday nights, you can see a homeless person sitting next to a college professor, or a person who's just getting out of prison sitting next to a nurse, or a child sitting next to an older person. It's a real interesting group of God's people, but it is all of God's people together. We are located really on the brink of two communities, a burgeoning arts district here in Benton Harbor, which is a gentrifying community that's being transformed with a lot of businesses and art studios and things down the hill from us. And then the poverty community of Benton Harbor that has been around us for a while.
Our community's changing, and we're trying to make a bridge through use of the creative arts.
We do concerts here at the church. We invite people down from the arts community to come to our church, and occasionally one or two have. You know, we make ourselves available to people who have different lifestyles, you know, as part of our mission.
And so ArtsBridge is a program where we hope we will offer a space for the talents of all of our community, the burgeoning arts district, the poverty community, other people in this community. There's talent and art all around us, and so we hope to provide a space for all of those people in all those places to come here and let their light shine.
People are starting to come out and, you know, be like, this is a good place. This place deserves to be, you know, recognized, and we're brothers and sisters, and let's just help each other out.
Worship is at the core of what we do. Our motto is roots down, branches out. The branching out must come from the roots down, and the roots down is in our worship, in our prayer together, in our being God's people together.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name.
Word has gotten around. You might be someplace and they'll say, what church you go to? And they'll say, First Pres. Oh, you're the church that does so much. You help prisoners, you help mothers, you just do a lot for people.
Dear God, by your grace.
When they see this church, they see a small building and they think, whoa, but what this church lacks in size, it makes up in human affection and compassion.
Gracious God, we do come to you like empty pitchers.
Our outreach is informed by our worship, and then in turn our outreach informs our worship. So it's this ongoing cycle of life and ministry and life and ministry. Roots down, branches out.
I like to give back. I feel like, you know, even if you don't have a lot of blessings, you still got God. God wants us to do good work, so you do good work.
To God be the glory. To the earth be peace. To all Christians be courage. And all people be hope. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen.
Sometimes people come into Benton Harbor from outside and they want to do something to or for Benton Harbor. And Benton Harbor doesn't need something done to it or for it. It needs somebody who is going to be here and work with them and enable and support what the people are already doing here.
People really look for a hand up rather than a hand out, and the challenge is to find a way to do that on a consistent basis.
One of my favorite scriptures is in Micah. What's the Lord require of you? Do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. That's pretty simple.
We Americans have a tendency to already know what people are going to say. And we already know what they need to do. And we don't know any of that. And so I think the first thing to be able to do is to listen.
As Laurie sometimes tells people who come here to visit, don't think you're going to bring Jesus to this community. Jesus has been here for a long, long time. Look for him here.
I've seen him in single mothers who are trying to make the most for their children.
I see Jesus here on Thursday night because one of the things that Jesus said is, I was hungry and you gave me food.
I see Christ in some of the addicts that we work with who long so deeply to be free.
Another place I see Jesus is at Martin School.
So groups that come, I invite them to become part of that, to become part of this life that's already going on among us, to bring your gifts and look for the gifts of this group and become part of us.
Ben Harbor's the underdog of cities in some ways. A lot of people don't see like the good of it, but it's a blooming community, and you know, we should do everything we can to support it.
There is hope for Benton Harbor, absolutely. When you look around and really look, you see the little pockets where things are changing. And you know, quite often when one little pocket changes, everybody wants to be on the successful team. So once you see good changes, more people jump on the bus and want to go with.
And I think that's what God calls us to do, to represent Him in our world, in our community, in a way that's not self-serving. By being Christians and representing that in the community is serving God.